everyone, it's Steve. I just got done reading through some of President Biden's policy proposals relating to housing and thought I'd share with you some of the big takeaways. We'll discuss impacts to both home buyers, homeowners, as well as some pretty interesting ideas for renters. This is Stephen Lutman with SJ Lincoln Realty. Let's get started. All of the data and proposals we'll be discussing, unless otherwise mentioned, come from joebiden.com/housing. Today we'll touch on what President Biden is looking to achieve with his housing policies, along with the potential impacts to home buyers and to renters. Finally, we'll wrap up with what government's role within these plans is going to be. So big picture, what President Biden's plan calls for is $640 billion spent over the next decade. Big number, so just as a frame of reference, our government as a whole in 2019 spent $4.4 trillion. This would be paid for by increasing taxes on certain types of businesses. The objectives of his housing proposals, first and foremost, is so every American has access to housing that is affordable and safe. He'll be looking to eliminate regulations that perpetuate discrimination, such as redlining and biased appraisals. And finally, increase the supply of affordable housing. When it comes to home buyers, the headline grabber is going to be a $15,000 advanceable tax credit for first-time home buyers. This would be issued at time of purchase instead of refunded come tax time, as it is with other tax credits. As we can see here, millennials significantly lag behind previous generations when it comes to home ownership. Introducing funding geared towards this demographic could go a long way in reducing the disparity. The next two items fall outside of President Biden's specific housing plan, however, still play a role in the real estate market. Possible student loan forgiveness. The benefit to home buyers is going to depend on how this is structured. A simple reduction in loan balance would not necessarily lower your monthly payment, meaning there would be no impact to your debt-to-income qualifying ratios when it comes to obtaining a mortgage. However, if the remaining amount can be re-amortized, there could be a meaningful effect. And finally, lower input costs for home builders. Materials and labor for a majority of businesses are going to be their largest cost. Prices of lumber and metal that is used in construction have, in some cases, doubled over the past year. Reducing or eliminating trade tariffs on imports would lower the cost of construction. Easing of restrictions on immigration would also help lower home prices, as builders have faced a shortage of workers for many years. For folks who are tenants, you may see what's called a Renter's Bill of Rights. This is modeled after similar legislation that was introduced in California and would, among other things, offer legal services for tenants facing eviction and encourage local mediation programs for renters in financial distress. In addition, he'll be seeking expanded funding for Section 8 vouchers. This is a program under HUD. Currently, a majority of people who apply are put on waiting lists. President Biden wants all applicants to be covered. In addition, property owners would no longer be able to turn away applicants simply due to the fact that they're receiving housing assistance. If you're a landlord in New York, you know that this is already a big no-no. One of the more interesting ideas is the introduction of a renter's tax credit. $5 billion would be designated for those whose income exceeds the thresholds under Section 8, however are still struggling. The program would cap participants' out-of-pocket housing expenses at no more than 30% of their total income. So what role will the new administration play in this? While a majority of the funding for these programs will come from Washington, D.C., they will actually be administered on a state level. Think back for a moment to when you're in high school and you would ask your dad to take the car out on a Friday night. Well, if you want to use Dad's car, Dad is going to want to know where you're going, with whom, and for how long. Receiving federal aid is very similar. Obtaining federal funding will depend on the individual states' proposals on how they're going to reduce housing inequality, while at the same time increasing the supply of affordable housing. So that will conclude today's video. If you have any questions or if there's additional content that you would like to see, please let me know in the comments section. For those who live in the capital region who are interested in buying or selling real estate, you can schedule a phone or Zoom call with me using the link in the notes section. As always, I appreciate everyone watching, and I hopefully look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks.